Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain a bit on a huge American success story, Home Depot. But we're focusing on someone often, behind the scenes, Ken Langone.
Yeah, it's a really important story, I think, especially if you're interested in how real sustainable wealth gets built, not just earned on paper.
And the sources we've looked at, they really highlight this central paradox, don't they?
They really do. I mean, you have a man who eventually builds an $8.9 billion fortune, but it starts with him needing a tiny $300 loan just to pay college tuition.
Wow, $300. And decades later, he's the financial bedrock for this retail empire worth over $400 billion today.
Exactly. He wasn't the guy running the stores day to day, not Marcus or Blank. He was the architect of the financial foundation.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive, right?
Yeah.
How does that initial, very small amount of capital transform into the massive conviction needed to back something as, frankly, risky as Home Depot was at the start?
Precisely. We're looking at how that, let's call it the $300 mindset, evolved. So Langone, born 1935, grew up, in his own words, in a house full of love but short on money.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Father a plumber, mother worked in a school cafeteria. He knew what scarcity felt like.
Absolutely, from day one. So he gets into Bucknell University, great school, but the tuition bill comes due and, well, the money just isn't there.
And the sources say he was doing everything, right? Digging ditches, any art job he could find.
Yeah, hustling hard. But ultimately, it was a local businessman who saw something in him who lent him that absolutely crucial $300.
That moment seems pivotal, more than just paying a bill.
Oh, completely. He described it almost like a spiritual thing. It changed his entire view of what capital even is. He started seeing money as transferable belief.
Which leads right into his core philosophy. He actually stated it pretty clearly. Capital is not about money, it's about faith.
First, that people will do something great if you give them a chance. Yeah, that's powerful stuff.
And you see that play out directly in the late 70s with Home Depot.
Right. So Langone's founded his firm Invimd Associates. He meets Bernard Marcus and Arthur Blank. Now, these guys were respected execs, but they'd just been fired.
And they have this idea that sounds, well, kind of nuts at the time. A huge warehouse-style hardware store. Cheap prices, bulk buying.
Totally unproven model. And remember, Wall Street saw Marcus and Blank as, failures at that moment. Nobody wanted to fund this thing. Too big, too risky.
But Langone didn't see failures?
No, he saw purpose. He saw obsession. He wasn't really judging the retail concept itself, not initially. He was judging the people, their drive.
So because someone believed in him for $300.
He decided to believe in them for $2 million. He went out and raised that initial seed capital when literally no one else would.
Using his own experience almost as a compass. That $300 wasn't just a debt paid back. It was like proof of concept for belief itself.
Exactly. It wasn't about the percentage return for him, not then. It was about the potential, the multiplier effect of that belief.
Which neatly brings us to his role as the invisible architect.
Yeah, because that's really what he became. The retail vision for Marcus and Blank was strong, sure, but the financial structure, it just wasn't there in the beginning. Langone was that structure.
He wasn't a retail guy, though. He was a finance guy, a deal maker.
Right. He used his connections, his Rolodex, as you said in the outline. He raised the money, yes, but more than that, he sort of radiated this conviction. He made other people believe this crazy hardware store could actually work.
How did he navigate that, though? I mean, you've got the hands-on retail guys, Marcus and Blank, focused on the stores, and then Langone operating in this high finance world. Seems like there could be friction.
That's a great point. From what the sources suggest, he mostly avoided friction by sticking to his lane: finance, structure, strategy. He became, and this is a quote, the godfather of the deal.
Okay.
He oversaw pretty much every major financial move in those crucial early years, all the way through the IPO in 1981.
Ah, the IPO. That's a massive moment.
Right.
So Home Depot goes public 81.
Mm-hmm.
Market value, what was it? Barely $60 million.
Yeah, tiny. Especially when you think today it's over $400 billion. That's almost, what, a 6,600-fold increase, roughly?
Just staggering growth. And that kind of growth, it doesn't just happen. It needs a financial foundation that can, take a punch, survive the storms.
Absolutely. It needed what Langone called his invisible scaffolding. He wasn't just structuring the finances for next quarter sales. He was thinking decades ahead. And it boiled down to 3 core principles he lived by: liquidity, loyalty, and leverage.
Okay, let's break down that scaffolding. First up, liquidity. Why was cash king, even for a company growing so fast? Usually, Growth just eats up cash, right?
Exactly right, and fast growth can be really fragile. Langone knew deep down that playing the long game meant you absolutely had to survive the short-term hits. Economic downturns, market panics, whatever.
So having enough cash on hand, or access to it,
Was non-negotiable. It kept the lights on, kept vendors paid, even if sales dipped unexpectedly. Think about the early 80s, high inflation, tough times. That liquidity was survival insurance. It wasn't about maximizing every penny. It was about enduring.
makes sense. Okay, second pillar, loyalty. How did he keep investors invested, emotionally and financially, when this was still just a discount hardware store concept from Atlanta? It could have easily looked like a fad.
Well, it wasn't just about contracts. It was intensely relational. He cultivated loyalty through brutal honesty, actually, and accessibility. He didn't just want their money. He wanted them as partners, as fellow believers.
So when the market inevitably had doubts,
Those loyal investors, the ones who believed in him, the purpose, they provided stability. They didn't panic sell. They were the ballast in the storm. He treated them like partners, not just ATMs.
okay, which leads to the third principle, and this one's really interesting, leverage. But he meant it differently, didn't he? Not just debt.
Right. He always emphasized it wasn't about financial leverage in the traditional sense, piling on debt. For him, leverage was about relationships. It was about credibility.
How does that work in practice?
Yeah.
Relational leverage.
Look, Langone understood that your reputation, your network, your word, that stuff, compounds way faster and more reliably than any interest rate. Remember when Home Depot struggled to pay suppliers early on?
Yeah.
He didn't hide. He personally got on the phone, called suppliers, reassured them, negotiated. He was spending his personal relationship capital, leveraging his own credibility.
And that got them better terms, more patience.
Exactly. Better terms, more patience than a company just relying on its balance sheet could ever get. It protected their reputation, which, honestly, probably became their single greatest asset over time.
It really is the hidden story, isn't it? You see the big orange stores, 465,000 employees now, $151 billion in revenue.
Huge numbers.
And Langone's own assessment is just so simple. I didn't build the shelves. I just make sure they could afford the nails. It puts it all in perspective.
It perfectly captures that distinction, yeah. The visible operation versus the absolutely critical but often unseen financial engineering underneath.
Okay, so we've got this picture of a financial architect. But the sources really stress that this massive success, these billions, it was all built on really personal habits, discipline, decency. What was driving that level of discipline?
Well, first off, he hated being called lucky. He had that great line, luck is just sweat that dried into success.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good. But the real engine, according to him, was something he called productive paranoia.
Productive paranoia.
Yeah, like a constant, healthy fear of losing it all. It kept him incredibly sharp, made sure every decision, big or small, was questioned. He never forgot where he came from, the plumber's son who had to earn everything.
And you see that discipline in these almost like tiny details that seem out of place for a billionaire. The cable bill story.
Oh, yeah.
That detail is amazing. A guy worth nearly $9 billion personally calling to question and negotiate his cable bill. What does that tell you?
It tells you everything. It shows that discipline, for him, wasn't about the amount, it was about the habit.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to save, $10? He was worried about the muscle of accountability getting weak.
Discipline is a muscle. If you stop using it, it gets soft. That's his quote, right?
That's the one. And that mindset, applied consistently, prevents the kind of, corporate bloat and complacency that kills so many successful companies.
And it wasn't just financial discipline, it was moral discipline too. Like in those early days, liquidity's tight, paying vendors is tough. He didn't just hand that problem off.
Nope. He owned it, got on the phone himself, called the suppliers, worked out payment plans, but crucially, he reassured them the company's word was solid gold.
That quote from the supplier is powerful. Ken didn't just pay bills, he paid respect.
Exactly. He treated every business interaction fundamentally as a human interaction first. That built trust when trust was maybe the only real currency they had. It turned a potential crisis into like a loyalty building exercise.
And that standard applied internally too, right?
Yeah.
At his own firm, Invemd. The handwritten thank you notes.
Oh, yeah. Mandatory. After meetings with investors, every single employee had to sit down and write a personal, handwritten thank you note. No emails, no form letters.
That takes serious time and effort. Why insist on handwritten?
His reasoning was simple. You can't automate gratitude. He wanted that deep personal appreciation baked into the culture. It goes right back to the $300 loan, doesn't it? Someone took time for him. He felt that time deserved a tangible, physical expression of thanks in return.
It connects back. Okay, so this integrity, this invisible credibility he aimed for,
It's
it
right.
wasn't just theoretical. It got tested, didn't it? Big time. During the NYSE compensation scandal in the early 2000s.
Oh, absolutely. That was a huge test. He was chairing the committee looking into excessive CEO pay at the New York Stock Exchange itself. Talk about being in the hot seat.
He was basically taking on Wall Street's ingrained culture of, well, massive pay packages.
Exactly. He faced enormous pressure, powerful people pushing back hard. But the sources show he stood firm on his principles of brutal honesty. Even if it meant risking relationships or financial blowback, he wouldn't compromise on the integrity reforms he felt were necessary. His word had to mean something.
And that kind of integrity, that ability to weather storms, it feeds into this idea of playing the long game. He wasn't just thinking quarter to quarter.
Not at all. He was playing for the century, as he put it, which completely changes how you view crises.
Right, like in the early 80s.
Yeah.
High inflation, crazy interest rates. Most retailers were pulling back, scared.
But Langone, he pushed Home Depot to expand aggressively. His logic was kind of brilliant. If your vision is long enough, every crisis is just a sale.
Wow, that takes guts. And cash goes back to that liquidity principle.
It all connects, yeah. He had the liquidity to survive the downturn, and he had the conviction, the long-term vision, to see it as an opportunity. Buy assets, gain market share while everyone else was panicking.
It's really about patience then, isn't it? Patience is the ultimate currency.
That's how he saw it. And that resilience, that patience, it came from knowing he'd faced tough times before. He said, I've been broke before, but I've never been bankrupt in faith. That faith fueled the patience.
Incredible journey. From that fear of being broke, building this empire, which brings us full circle almost to the idea of repayment. He didn't just hoard the wealth.
No, he saw it as a tool. A tool for usefulness, as he said, making sure that scaffolding he built extended beyond just Home Depot.
And the big example is the NYU School of Medicine donation in 2018. Him and his wife, Elaine. $100 million.
A massive gift. And it was the direct catalyst, the thing that allowed NYU Med School to make that absolutely historic decision. Free tuition for all medical students, forever, regardless of their financial situation.
And he didn't frame it as charity. He specifically called it
repayment. Repayment for that original $300 loan someone gave him decades ago. He saw his success not just in dollars, but in his ability to remove barriers for other people, tuning that initial capital, that belief, into opportunity for countless others.
So summing this up, we've traced how Langone took borrowed money, turned it into belief into a financial structure, and that structure into this massive, enduring success, all while holding on to these core principles of discipline and trust.
Yeah, his story really drives home that the currency of trust, of your word, it genuinely outlasts market ups and downs. That's the real long game.
His life really offers this, this roadmap maybe, showing that you can achieve enormous success without ditching your humanity along the way. Patience, that productive paranoia, even handwritten thank you notes. It all mattered.
Which kind of leaves us with a question for you listening right now. Langone never forgot his $300 moment. We all face moments like that, right? Times of scarcity, doubt, high stakes.
That may be our own $300 moments.
Exactly. So the lesson isn't just about what Langone built for himself, it's about what he enabled.
What could happen if you chose to believe in someone else the way someone once believed in you? Because Langone's legacy seems to prove that true wealth multiplies, not just by holding on to what you earn,
but by intentionally passing on what you've learned, by investing that belief back into the world.